public notice on annual budget. Eddie, would you lead us in prayer to start this off?
Yes, sir. And remember the flowers if you do it. Father, we thank you and praise you for another beautiful day that you've blessed us with. Lord, we are thankful for the city and for what it's doing for your people. We ask tonight, Lord, that you clear our minds and allow us to make decisions that are truly in the best interest of those people. Lord, we do lift up the Clowers as they go through some difficulties. We just pray that you'll continue to bless them and be with them. And if there's anything we can do to help, just give us an open door to do that. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen.
All right. How do you do this? Public hearing?
You just ask if there is anybody that wants to speak on behalf or have any questions for the 2022-23 budget.
Anybody have any questions?
Nobody here.
Mm-hmm.
No public hearing. No public hearing.
We just moved to the,
We gotta wait till 6 for the next meeting.
no, you don't, it immediately follows this, so you can just go right into it.
All right. You've already done our prayer. Any questions on your departmental reports? No? Public comments, we've got one.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Council, my name is Mike Beck.
Speak into the mic. if you
Okay, my name is Mike Radcliffe, born and raised in Jasper, Oklahoma, right down here. One of the greatest things that I think the city of Jasper has done is created this park. It's beautiful, and they've done a good job over the years. My family owns some of the land that turned into the park that was sold to the city. But there's been a adoption of an ordinance that allowed an exception for city events to sell alcohol and other controlled substances during city-sponsored events. One of which would be the Christmas in the Park. And when families bring their children out and they light up all the displays that they have all along the park, and they have trains for children to drive through and around. And I look at it from a lawyer standpoint. Now I'm talking as a lawyer and even as a city attorney. But I would think that if alcohol is being sold at a city-sponsored event, whether it's here or Caradine Park or the James Byrd Park, and something happens to someone who leaves that event, some child gets hit, the liability could come back to the city for allowing such an event. And when I get up in the morning, listen to me carefully. My wife and I walk 5 o'clock, right down here. When I pull up, the first thing I see is a sign that says rules of the park. And one of them says no alcohol consumption. So I think about the little kids in the train. I think about the safety. And is it a place then that I want to be able to take my family, my friends, or even me to go to? If there's going to be alcohol, and one vendor sells here, one vendor sells here, one vendor sells here, and they all have the right, and they're following the Texas law, all of that. But one person goes from one to another, and before you know it, they're intoxicated, and you know who's gonna have to prosecute that person? It's either up at this courthouse, but if they're doing it and they're bringing, it's gonna be me, the city attorney. So I'm just voicing my opinion, and that's all I have. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Oh, Randy, I was gonna ask when you had read about the, any information for the council members of zoning and SRM, we're gonna talk about that during
Do what?
what it says here, it says information for council, zoning, progress reports, and SRMPA information. I just wondered if, since you and Denise you guys go to the meetings, is there anything that, you would like to say as far as, or you want to wait and do that when we bring that issue up as far as what's
I don't
going
have
on?
anything else to say besides what I gave
Well,
you
yeah.
that report.
Okay.
I mean, I write a report, 2 pages after every meeting.
I don't know what else is to say. I mean,
I mean, this
you
is.
either
this-
take it or you don't, but you're still gonna pay for it, 100%. We're moving on. It's not on the agenda. All right, consider for approval 2 sets of minutes for a special call city meeting on August 18th and August 24th. Do I have a motion to pass those?
Motion.
Did you make that motion?
Second.
Got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right. Consider approval annual budget ordinances. Ordinances number 9-1922A, City of Jasper, the 2022 adoption rate. Do I have a?
Did we do both? You had two meetings. Did you
We
do
did,
both of them?
we did both minutes.
18th and the 24th.
Now we're on the ordinances 9-1922A to adopt the tax rate. Do I have a motion for
Hey,
that?
Randy, he wants to know if both sets of minutes were approved with one motion. For-
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay.
All right, back to ordinance, tax rate adoption. Do I have a motion to accept our rate?
I'll file a motion to accept.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I'll second so we can have discussion on
All in favor, say aye.
He wanted to
You
discuss.
want to discuss it?
it. Yeah, I mean, that's fine, I make a motion to get a second on, so we. I just want to make note of the fact that the taxes on the adopted rate that we talked about in the budget workshop, I believe are 31% less than what they were last year. Is that correct? About 31%?
36.
We went
No,
to,
I'm talking about the reduction.
he's talking about the
No,
percentage,
the amount of reduction.
Yeah. I do.
31% reduction from 3654.
Right, I believe it's about 31% less, and I thought that was an improvement. I think that's good that you've been able to work something out to help us take care of that, and I appreciate it.
Okay. All in favor of passing that, say aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimously. Ordinance 9-1922B, setting and establishing the 22-23 operating budget. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Did somebody second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Ordinance 9-1922C, applying allocated adjustments, contingency reserve, and providing for amended budgets for the 22-23 fiscal year for the fiscal projections on the proposed fiscal year 22-23 budget and financial plan. Do I have a motion to pass that?
I found a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimously. Ordinance number 1922D, City of Jasper tax roll appraisal and tax levy. We have a motion to accept the,
I'll make a motion, but I'd like to, discuss. I'll take that.
there's a second. Do you have a question?
Could you
on
explain that a little bit more, please?
That's just the amount that they're saying, if we accepted the amount of appraisal value that we're basing our tax rate on, like the $357 million, that's the quote value that the appraisal district gave us at this current. Now, that may change all through the year as they get through,
Adjustments.
protests and, different changes, but that's what they're saying, is that we're using their appraised value.
So this point, 2554 per $100?
Yes, sir.
For $100 value.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimously. All right, consider for approval resolution number 2918, City of Jasper, 2022 tax rate.
That is just a document it's almost a repetitive document from our budget, but this one comes from the tax office,
I'll make a
Okay.
For the
motion.
county?
from the county. Yes,
I'll
sir.
second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimously. Consider for approval Jetco's 22-23 fiscal year operating budget.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
And I've got a second. All in favor, say
I
aye.
have one question on that.
Yes, sir.
Is Eddie here? Just one question, that's all. Could you explain that at the bottom where it says investment? Because I don't think I really heard it when we did have the meeting, it says investment into Provalis building.
That's just, it really should have been on the balance sheet. It just shows what the city's, the Jetco's portion is indicated on our balance sheet. It's not supposed to be on the P and L.
Okay, all right, okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Pass unanimously. Consider for approval, removal order for a dangerous building located at 209 Broad Street.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second
I got a question, where is Broad Street?
Well, it's on my street. It's where I live,
Okay.
right across over. It's in East Jasper.
it. I live in East
That's, it's right up the street from the Mitchell Newman Hotel.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did I have a yeah, I had a motion.
Yeah, I made a motion.
All right, all in favor? Pass unanimously. Consider for approval of ordinance 9/19/22, updating and amending itinerant merchants hours.
I like to make a motion, so we can discuss it, a little bit more about it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We got a second. Discuss.
I basically just wanna know what, I'm sort of reading it, but what is it actually saying, as far as the,
The question is, you talking about the operation hours?
yeah. Is it based on the operation hours or the vendors that are coming in town or
It's based on both, it sets the hours that they can sell.
that they can operate?
Yeah, it's more like food trailers that we're speaking of.
Okay.
To give them a little extra hours in the evening time, to give them longer operation hours.
And then we're also setting the dollar amount, it used to be $100, and now we're raising it back to where it used to be $300 a
$300.
year.
It was 300 in 2000.
So it's 300, the annual fee, and to renew it is 300?
Yes. I mean, this is, these people are coming in with, they're not paying taxes, they're not paying utilities, so we're just trying to make it a little bit more easier. Equal playing ground to
It's
our.
like your watermelon vendors.
That
Yes,
would be
it's-
separate.
But they're separate because it's a home run.
So basically, does this apply to,
Well, for example, if you have a windshield chipping vendor sitting outside in the parking lot,
Mhm.
well, he doesn't have, all he has to pay is that $100 vendor fee, and then the business right down the street that has a brick and mortar, they're paying for water, taxes, and everything to keep their business going. So it just kind of tries to level the playing field with the itinerary merchants that come in with Jasper's own merchants.
Well, they had, in the past, Anderson, they had to supply, proof that they had sales tax information. They had to bring a picture ID, had to provide a
We
driver's
still
license.
do have to do
When
that.
it started, in 2000, I don't remember, Mike got a better memory on some of that stuff. It started because shoes in front of Payless Shoe Store. They were bringing containers of shoes from overseas. They were selling tennis shoes, like 2 pairs for $20 in the parking lot in front of Payless.
But they did that now for the old Chateau Inn, they used to.
And when it got started,
Clotheslines, full shirts and t-shirts and dresses.
yeah, when it got started, I remember that was one of the ones that we had looked at back when, I think it was about '02. And it was an annual permit that they had to provide documentation of who they were, that they did have sales tax numbers, they were collecting tax to bring it back in, because it wasn't fair. I think there was another vendor about that same time, and I don't recall dollar amounts, but I'm just gonna use a guesstimate. He was selling shrimp for $3 a pound, and shrimp was $5 a pound if you bought it at the local shrimp place that we had, and he was set up across the street from the guy from Louisiana who used to come up here and sell fresh shrimp.
What about the mobile guys, you know, like the Schwan got it, Swan or?
I don't.
Was he just like
I don't know about mobile or
So they don't set
Amazon
up anywhere,
delivery.
Right.
they go door to door.
door to door?
You know, and that's just individual,
Okay.
the individual businesses can.
I mean, so y'all extended hours, these guys can work till 9 if they've got a food truck. You got an event, so if you have an event, well, like the event Saturday, I think that event's gonna run till 10, so can those people stay at the park till 10, or they have to put sell food at 9, or?
Well, we've set the hours for that,
It's
so.
okay.
Separate event, this is just your general, we figured the food vendors, if you're gonna set a time limit on them, you wanna give people that are driving home time to stop and pick up food for the family. If you put the cutoff time too early, there's no point
Yeah,
selling
I got
it.
it. I had a couple people call today about this stuff in the park too, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's 23 vendors signed up so far. There may be 2 more coming. All right, I'm fine, I appreciate the discussion on that, I just wanna make sure it was the same thing, that he understood what we were talking about.
Yeah, I moved to Will Crew.
I'll second that.
All right. If you want it passed, say aye. Consider for approval required advance payment policy to comply with the GLO's documentation request for federal grant.
This is just a housekeeping.
Yes, yeah, we talked about that, I make a motion to approve that.
Do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
All in favor, say
Explain the
aye.
housekeeping issue to me.
It's just a document that the GLO requires that we have, it
Oh,
states.
that the city has?
The city
Okay.
Yeah,
has.
those houses,
All
we
right,
had to pay for that, we had to pay for the stuff to get appraised and stuff, and then they
They
pay
do
back.
too, right?
Yeah.
All right, yes,
Aye.
unanimous. Consider for approval, table item D, transfer of ownership from SRMPA to Jasper for the Jason and Lindsay stations. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Do we have a discussion?
I just wanna know why we wanna take over the ownership of these substations. That's all I want.
I don't know that we really necessarily wanted to, I think that's.
So you're saying we didn't have a choice?
SRMPA voted.
They already voted to do it, and I
Yeah.
talked to Livingston a little while ago, and they're getting theirs set up, and a couple little minor details.
But just answer, we don't have a choice.
We do have a
Not
choice.
really.
We've got representation on the Sam Rayburn board, and they voted on it, then they passed it along to us.
It's 6 to 1, half dozen of another. We don't have to pay for repairs at their stations,
Yeah,
and
and they
now
have to
they
pay
don't pay
repairs
for
it out.
repairs at ours.
But the thing is, we're 100% responsible for this now, correct?
You're 100% no matter what.
You're playing, the thing is, I understand what you're saying, it's not that we're 100% no matter what, it's a third, you have 3.
Well,
No,
we won't be a third because.
That's what I'm saying, we won't be if we pass this, right? It'll just be, I'm saying, it'll be solely
You're
on
gonna be
us.
100% whether you pass it or not.
It'll be solely on us, correct, because the other 2 have already agreed to take theirs back.
Okay.
So SRMPA is going to be
So they're gonna deed it regardless.
They have voted,
Okay.
yes.
They, and
So the cities don't have,
Livingston
that's what I'm
agreed
just
that they
saying,
have.
so we don't have a choice.
Well, we brought it to you earlier in the year.
And I said no then.
No, you did not, you seconded the motion.
No,
Yeah, you did.
now, no, I'm not for that stuff, but
Okay.
you can vote on
Got a
it,
motion.
whatever you gotta do.
So did our members of the SRMPA board vote to do this?
Do what?
Did you and Denise vote to do this at the
I
SRMPA
did.
meeting? Okay.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
No.
like sign.
No,
That's 2-1. Consider for approval setting aside.
Mayor, can this pass 2-1, or does it have to be 3? I thought it have to be 3 for something to pass.
You have to
We
have 3
five-
voters.
You have to have 3 voters, so it could, if it's 3, then 2-1, okay.
That was
Consider for approval
Wait,
setting.
Randy.
We've already voted.
It would drop because of lack of a full voting quorum. You had 2 to 1, you need 3.
No,
You need 3 voters.
you just need 3 voters. You have to have 3 people vote.
Oh, okay.
You have to have 3 people and a mayor for a quorum. If you have only 2 that's voted, if one of them would have abstained, you would not have had.
But you voted.
I voted
You
no.
voted no.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 9, consider for approval setting aside Cambridge funds for substation maintenance. Denise? Is
There's a
anything-
possibility that we may get money from Cambridge for this project. We don't know that for sure.
What about the money you got now?
Would you let me finish, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. The money that we have now, we can separate and assign some of that money and put it in a reserve account and use that in case we need it. And we may also get some more funds from SRMPA for reserve. But that is not to be determined at this point nor by this group.
So we don't, so what you're saying, Denise, is right now, we don't know how much we're gonna allocate to this.
That's right.
correct?
That is up to you as a council to
Right.
decide if you allocate any or all.
Right, but what we wanna do is, we wanna vote to decide whether we want to use some of those funds
Yes, sir.
for that maintenance
Yes,
of
sir.
those
It would just
stations.
be put in a reserve account, not to be used unless we have a major issue with that substation.
Okay, but given that, if anything does happen and we don't get any more, and we haven't gotten any more funds from them, we can use from the funds that we have now.
Yes, sir. If you would say, I wanna allocate X number of dollars to the maintenance fund for the substations, we will set it aside in a different bank account and it is not touched unless there's a expense brought to you by council to use those funds to do any type of maintenance or something on the substation.
So it has to be approved by us before it can be used.
Yes, sir.
So, do you have a set amount that you think we should start with?
If you had something major happen and you lost something like Jason, I don't really know exactly what the expense is to bring something like that back online. If you had something catastrophic, a fire or a tornado take it out or something like that. I'm sure insurance cover part of it, but you're going to pay for it ahead of time.
Do we pay insurance for this now?
No, sir, we won't, but we will.
So we'll have to get insurance. Now that we're taking over, we've been deeded the substation, we'll have to get insurance for that.
Yes.
But we didn't have it before.
No, sir.
Uh,
We had it a long time ago before
Did we have these stations before?
we had these stations before.
Sure.
And we sold them to SRMPA because the cities needed money. This is what all the bonds were for.
We paid those off, right?
That's why they,
Question.
So that's basically one of the reasons why they want us to give it back to us. The bonds are paid off, and so they want us to reassume the ownership of the station.
it gives the cities an opportunity to manage their own instead of an agency managing it for them. City of Liberty and the City of Livingston can choose their own electrical engineer. They can choose their own contractors and do their own maintenance on their own equipment without being a part of the third.
So everybody, and so I just wanna be clear, so everybody at the last meeting that you guys attended, all three member cities agreed to accept the ownership of the substation. So I just have one question. I understand what you're saying with that, but was that well, maybe you already answered that because you did say that we did talk about that before. And if I voted on it, I don't remember, but maybe I did, but you said we did talk about it before and we all voted to accept that?
Yes, sir. According to our minutes.
They said they were giving us an option, and they were gonna look at it and pass it back later. It's been about 6 months ago. And what I was gonna ask though, is if something happened that was catastrophic, and I understand we'll have insurance on it, but we had to just, if you had a hurricane, you had to get this thing replaced and back going like we did with Rita. What kind of dollar figures are we looking at for a
The
substation?
largest expense is $1 million for one of the transformers.
Not even get just about double that now with the price of those.
Okay.
So about 3 million would.
Let's just, so if we put aside money that we earmark for this, that has to come before the council, even if it's an emergency meeting after a storm or something, to secure enough funds to take care of this, and I understand we'll get reimbursements back from insurance. I think we actually got a Rita check at the end of last year from 2005. I would prefer to sort of err on the side of caution. And I would propose setting aside funds for the substations for any maintenance costs associated with it at $4 million. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Do I have a second?
That's gonna be for both substations. How many transformers do we have at each substation?
2 in the electric station, 1 in the,
Two in Jason, one in
It's the other way.
Okay, so $4 million would cover the replacement of those and the maintenance, for the maintenance and labor as far as the cost of replacing those? The $4 million that he's asking for?
I
Approximately.
mean, you're talking about a total wipe out,
Yeah,
I mean,
Just
you
one
don't know.
transformer, $4 million would cover all that.
just one
If you
transformer?
lost the whole.
What
everything one time,
approximately if you lost the
labor.
whole station?
But most of that stuff was updated. Recently.
All three substations have all been updated, whether it was batteries, transfer stations, transfer switches, transformers.
Correct.
Except for the breakers in there,
Every substation has a breaker that's within, I think, under 10 years old. That would be the oldest thing
And we were told that the flooding on, Jason was gonna be taken care of.
Yes,
by
the mitigation of that is
SRMPA.
that concrete wall around it, was putting those, flush plastic barriers around the gates on it for them. That is all gonna be paid for by,
Most of the two
SRPA.
transformers, they're gonna jack them up, they have the, plates to go on
So they're gonna pay for that?
they're gonna pay for that.
Yeah, they're gonna bring everything up to par before we accept it. We haven't accepted them formally yet. It's gonna be a document that'll come at a later date. I was talking about if something happened to our substations, we would have some reserves to work out of, that would take care of us. I don't think they would all go down at the same time.
I mean, if we lost one transformer right now, we could swap and load around and keep everything going. So, I mean, it wouldn't be really catastrophic. I mean, the price of the transformer would be, but we wouldn't be out of business.
I just had one question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Will we gain interest on whatever we have in the account? Just say we just sit there over 5-10 years, nothing happens. Do that money gain interest
yes.
over time?
Yes. Yes, it's in an interest.
It's in an interest bearing account.
All right.
So you made a motion to set aside $4 million for all
We
three.
had a motion, and did we have a second?
Yeah, I second. Yeah, I second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
No.
Pass 3-1.
Can I ask a question? What if we have to use some of that money, will the other money come back into it at some point, or?
Council's gonna have to approve withdrawal, even if it's on emergency meetings, what you just said.
Yes, but.
To replenish, though, to answer your question.
If
to
we get
replenish
money, I would suggest that any other future funds coming in from Cambridge, we take a certain percentage of it.
But if you had a claim, if you had a use of those funds, hopefully when your insurance paid, you can replenish the funds that you used, less whatever y'all's deductible may end up being.
Long story short, whatever happened with the money, we have to approve, that's what she was saying. That's what it is.
Correct.
Nothing can move without us.
Not off of the funds for the substation.
Item 10, consider for approval, list of capital requests for fiscal year 22-23 to be paid out of Cambridge funds.
I make a motion.
Second?
All in favor,
I
say
have a
aye.
discussion.
Or do you have a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Under parks, I see where, I remember us discussing that, you know, that we wanted to do, skateboard parks, splash pads and all that, but I know that we definitely wanted to do the building, the stages, Denise?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I thought it was 100,000.
Well, for one stage, it was for 100,000. We always talked about the two, to where we could, if we got one big one, but if we got the two smaller ones, they're $85,000 a piece.
Okay, I was reading that, so we're gonna get two small stages instead of one big.
Yes, sir. That way, we don't have to utilize the big one if it's just a small thing. But those, with being a portable stages, they can be moved to any other part, they can use that, be downtown.
So what's this, okay, you need a generator for the parks building?
Yes, that's the building down there. We also talked about using that one as a staging area for emergency.
Which building is?
That part down there, because it's got the big walk-in freezer.
Oh,
The
tidbits.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we need more?
Yes.
Zero turn.
Anything else? Got a motion and a second? Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign?
Well, I just wanna say it's like the first three items, I know we need, I just like to have a little bit more information about, you know, as far as finance, and I understand, I see the numbers that we have here, and I looked at what we have, and I think all of these are great, and I hope that we can get all this done, you know, with that. I just look at things like this, as far as I look at what we have in the city of Jasper. I'm just saying, it's a great idea, and I think it's good. I hope that we can get people to be able to do this with, especially with our census the way it is now, instead of growing, it's going down. And I just hope we have this is a great idea, I just hope we can have the people here in the city that will patronize this and come to it, because this is a good idea. But
I'm lost, which three items, I guess it's.
I said the first three items, generator, more, and the stage.
Okay, but the first three items on the park.
Right, yeah, on the parts, yeah, I'm great for that. The other three, I'm just, you know, it's questionable to me.
And both of the skate pad and the splash pad, we got new updated prices, and
Mhm.
then both of them went down quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's not a problem. I'm just saying, I just hope that we can have the population in town. I mean, you look at it as far as when we went down from 77,700 something to 6,400 and 884, but, you know, still, I'm just hoping that we
We're trying to listen to the
can.
people and ask them, they're asking about things to do.
Yeah.
So this is where.
Okay.
All right. We did pass that, correct? Yes. Consider approval for the utility pole attachment agreement.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make them,
You got a second?
yeah, I'll go ahead.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Pass unanimously. We're gonna go into executive session. It is, let's see, that 6:19. And we're going in on government code 551.041. 551.071, deliberations on real property.
Great.